Is this ultimately what Georgia fans want and need? Looking at JT Daniels entering the transfer portal for a second time in his college career, leaving Georgia, but hey, championship quarterback Stetson Bennett coming back next season. Let's go. What's up, everybody? Christian Bauer here, Bauer Sports Media. Hey, do me a favor, hit that thumbs up, hit that subscribe button if you're new to the channel. I do mostly college football, some NFL stuff here or there. I'd be doing MLB, but there's so much going on with like just everything with just whatever this lockdown is, right? I mean, I know what it is. Players want the bans, whatever. Well, I'm going to try to get on some baseball stuff pretty soon. I want to get into March Madness when it rolls around. We still got a couple months till that. But for the most part, y'all know college football is the primary thing. Today, I want to talk about something out of Athens with the national champions, the Georgia Bulldogs. JT Daniels entered the transfer portal just yesterday, according to ESPN and other sources. This does not come as much of a surprise to me. Adam Rittenberg, senior writer of ESPN, put this one out for you. Let me share this with you guys. Quote sources, of course. So Georgia Bulldogs football team, JT Daniels, Jermaine Burton hit transfer portal. The first sentence right out the gate, Stetson Bennett said Wednesday that he will return to Georgia for a final season. The quarterback he replaced, JT Daniels, won't be. Daniels and Bulldogs wide receiver Jermaine Burton both entered the transfer portal Wednesday. With the news officially coming around at the same time, Bennett took to social media to say he'll be back in 2022. One more year, the former walk-on turned star wrote on Instagram, "Let's roll." And it goes on and on to talk about it. I'm not going to read this whole article for you, but go check it out on ESPN. I think what I'll do, I'll put it in the comments or maybe even in the video description for you guys. If anyone would like to go back and read this, it's up to you. But you look at JT Daniels real quick, quarterback for UGA, at least he was. Overall, is this the right move for him to leave? I think so. Was he even a good quarterback? Again, Stetson Bennett winning the national championship over Alabama 33-18. I know that's my team that he had to beat, but just, for a future analyst and sportscaster, you just got to give props and talk about it how you have to and give credit where credit is due. Stetson Bennett did it. He dreamed about it. I think he's mentioned before he grew up watching Georgia football. He grew up just loving college football, wanting to play. He played backyard football. He grew up, and this was something that he had dreamed about for a very long time in his life. What happened, though? Because let's go back real quick. Georgia opens up the season in 2021 with a win over Clemson 10-3, right? Struggled offensively in that game. Great defensive performance, though. That was a defensive game, right? Like it was an old school type of football game. Clemson's defense, as much as Clemson struggled this past season on offense, their defense was still lights out phenomenal, I think. JT Daniels was the quarterback for Georgia going in. And rightfully so, because in 2020, it started out being Stetson Bennett. The Stetson Bennett that we saw this year, halfway through this season when he took over for JT, was not the same Stetson Bennett that we saw a year ago when he started against teams like Alabama, when he started against teams, I think, like Florida. I think he did start the Florida game. Of course, the Gators and Dan Mullen and Kyle Trask and company getting the win in 2020. We're not here to necessarily go back all through the past, but he was the guy to start out. But then JT Daniels, they just needed that quarterback switch, and JT Daniels seemed like the guy for Georgia. Speaking of, let's just go ahead and look at these two quarterbacks and their statistics. And I've said some things about like, oh, Stetson Bennett is better than JT Daniels. I'll just go ahead and say this instead of just waiting to get to this point. JT Daniels, I think, is very talented. I think it's one of those where it's a system. It's systematic. Now, I'm not here to say that Daniels is a systematic quarterback. He might be. He might not be. I'll leave that up to you guys. I'm not going to make that decision. I'm not going to make that claim on here. But I will say that he did do good for Georgia when he played. If you look at this year, he had a QBR of 86.5. He had 722 yards. He had 7 touchdowns, and he only had 3 interceptions, right? This year, he had a 72 completion percentage. His longest passing play of 43 yards. He averaged passing about 7 yards a pass, 68 and 94. You look at what he did last year. Completion wise, percentage wasn't as good. He threw for over 1,000 yards in 2020. Again, took over halfway through the 10-game season. He had 10 touchdowns and 2 picks, and a better QBR rating. But overall, I think talent-wise, JT's the guy, right? I do think that. I think he's got a good skill set. He's got a strong arm. The thing about Stetson Bennett, we talk so much about systematic quarterbacks. Well, Georgia is a little bit different. It's a little bit on the flip side of it. It's not about having a systematic quarterback. No, Georgia is a certain system that you have to fit in there, right? It's not Stetson's the Bennett because it's the only one that's going to. Look, Georgia is just that program with Kirby Smart. They won the title. I give them that. But I still would say that even going forward, they cannot just put whoever they want to out there, and Todd Monken and the offense are going to get it done. JT Daniels might be a 5-star recruit, and Stetson Bennett might be a walk-on. And JT Daniels might have some physical tools and everything. I think here, I can't tell you what it is about JT that might make him more talented. And hear me out. There's a difference between the more talented player and the more, what word do I want to use? Capable, more fit player. Why is it that Stetson Bennett is the guy? Why is he the one for UGA? Why, right? Oh, but JT Daniels has a stronger arm. Maybe, but it's decision making. It's mindset. Not that JT Daniels' decision making is terrible, but it seems like there was something this season where something clicked in the mind of Stetson Bennett, and he was able to put it together. And just, it seemed like the receivers and the offense and the coaching staff and Todd Monken, it just seemed like it all clicked and worked out just right. And it was meant for Stetson Bennett. Right? Now, again, if you want talent-wise, and again, I don't think we've seen enough of JT to determine if he's more talented or not than Stetson Bennett. Right? Because, again, Stetson Bennett's a walk-on, right? Out of nowhere, didn't really have a star rating, wasn't really a high recruit. JT Daniels was a 5-star quarterback out of California. Went to USC, didn't work out there, was beat out by a guy like Keaton Slovis. He transfers out. He comes to Athens. He sits and waits a little while. He comes in, and eventually there's a switch last season in 2020, of course, the year of the Crimson Tide. But, for Georgia, for their certain season and perspective, you have JT Daniels take over for Stetson Bennett. And it just seemed to start clicking, right? You just had that guy it was one of those situations you just needed a guy with a stronger arm, right? Like, he can launch the ball deep. Like, JT can throw the ball really well. He can throw it and he can basically his performance, right? Not necessarily stat wise or whatever, but just the capability, the arm, the strength, the tools that he has, I think is better than Stetson Bennett. But Georgia's not about, and I'm not saying like what they look for, but necessarily if you think about how the offenses have been, I don't think it's necessarily about talent. It's about mindset. It's about can you take what we give you and work with it? And that's where Stetson Bennett comes into play. That's where the championship quarterback in Stetson Bennett comes into play this game, right? He comes in because of his mindset and the connection that he has and just overall decision making. He's pressured. Yeah, he takes some sacks here or there, right? But against the SEC defenses and everything, it seems like under pressure, not necessarily against defenses, but if you give this guy control of the game, it seems like he handles it better than JT Daniels does, right? Again, saying all this, JT Daniels, I think, maybe he's got a strong arm. Maybe he was better in high school. Maybe he is more talented, talent-wise, than Stetson. Maybe that's the case. I don't know. I don't think we've seen enough of both of these guys together or anything necessarily to finally make that decision. But the bottom line is Stetson's the better choice anyway because of the system that he's in and what Georgia needs out of a quarterback and the mindset and the guy that can handle what Georgia has offensively. I don't think JT Daniels, not that he did a terrible job, it just wasn't up to where it needed to be to get Georgia to. I guarantee you this. I don't think Georgia would have won a title, let alone made it with JT Daniels at quarterback. I just, and I've talked about it with Ugga Boy quite a bit off of here. Shout out to you, Brian, if you're watching. And I've talked about it with him on here. The receivers that they have, the offensive players and the coaches needed to make a decision at quarterback, right? JT Daniels got hurt. I think it was an ACL or whatever injury early on in the season, halfway through. You had to switch to Stetson Bennett. But then I started hearing Georgia fans say, well, what if JT's healthy? Why can't he just come back? Even if, man, something was happening, and I don't know where it came from, but something was happening with that offense with Stetson Bennett. Something was happening where the receivers just started getting some fire underneath them, man. The passing attack, the togetherness, the willingness to win. They wanted to be out there. Like the team themselves on offense were looking at this quarterback and Stetson Bennett saying, now this is someone I can truly work with and get along with. Not that there were issues with JT Daniels. It wasn't attitude or anything like that. It just seems like the offense better responded to Stetson Bennett. And that's very important. It's not always about talent. It's about the players around you and how can you build yourself up? How can you build your team? How can you work with the players that you have? JT worked with them. Don't get it wrong. But the better opportunity for these players, Jermaine Burton, McConkley, or George Pickens. I know George Pickens was hurt, but just pick any receivers that played at all this year. It was all with Stetson Bennett, where they best succeeded and got to the title in the first place. Stetson Bennett is your guy. He's going to come back next year, at least as far as I know. And if he's not, I don't know who you go with going forward. Now you're in a whole, quarterback debacle again. Carson Beck, Brock Vandergriff. Do you go with the incoming freshman and Gunnar Stockman? I don't know. But this guy right here, JT Daniels, he's out. Stetson Bennett, he could come back. He could come back. I don't know if he is or not. Last I heard, I think he says he could do one more ride with the Dogs. But again, we will ultimately see. And again, I show the stats from last year with these two quarterbacks. JT Daniels, 68 of 94, 722 yards, 72% completion, 7 touchdowns and 3 picks. Meanwhile, Stetson Bennett, 185, 287, over 2,000 yards, 64.5 completion percentage, 29 touchdowns, and 7 interceptions. And again, well, JT didn't have as many interceptions. But JT doesn't have that many. Well, then again, I know it's because Stetson Bennett played a majority of these games because there was a switch at quarterback because of an injury for Daniels. But overall, here's the bottom line. JT Daniels is transferring. Now, when he chooses where he's going to go, I'll make a video and I'll talk about it. Is it the right decision? Stetson Bennett was the guy this year that they needed if they wanted to win a title. I don't think they would have won a title with JT Daniels. I'm sorry. Call me crazy. I mean, throw me in hell for it. I don't know. I don't care. Throw me under the bus for saying that. I don't think Georgia would have won a title if it wasn't for Stetson Bennett. Now, their defense won some pretty good games. They kind of carried the team, not giving up points and everything, turnovers, sacks, all that. But you also need a quarterback and you need an offense and a leader. And I think the leadership of Stetson Bennett, right? And again, I think talent-wise and size and build, if you want a guy based on talent and arm strength, maybe go with JT Daniels. If you want a guy because of mindset and tools and just overall willingness to win, not that Daniels doesn't have that, but man, there's something about Stetson Bennett and his character and everything that's just a little better, and it's just unique and special. There's something special in Stetson Bennett. And again, I don't know if he's going to come back next year or if he's going to try to go pro or what's next for Stetson Bennett. I don't know. Someone let me know. Last I heard, he wants to come back. But I don't know if that's necessarily confirmed yet. But again, JT Daniels is in the portal. I don't blame JT for leaving. But Stetson Bennett is your guy at UGA. That's final. He's from Georgia. He grew up being a Dog fan. He's earned this opportunity. He lived out his childhood dream last Monday night. And he's in a position he needs to be in, that he deserves to be in. And I think that him coming back next season and the fact that he won you a title, why would you not play the guy that won you the championship? Why? Why do you think Alabama went with Tua? Why? Because the players best responded to him in the title game and he won the championship. That's simple. That's where Georgia's at. Not that there's quarterback controversy. It's a clear cut that Stetson Bennett's going to be the guy. That's why JT knows that. That's why he's leaving. Is he going to go somewhere and succeed? You would hope so. I think he will. I guess it depends on where he goes. But if you're a Georgia fan out there saying, well, this is the guy we should have been playing, and if he didn't get hurt, we could have won better with it. I don't know if that's necessarily true. I don't think he would have been in the position to win a title if not for Stetson Bennett, truly. I'm not saying JT couldn't do it, but, man, there was something about Stetson Bennett. It was all meant to be. The stars aligned for you this year. You won the title. And overall, Stetson Bennett is your quarterback at UGA. And that's final, said and done. But, again, I want to hear from you Georgia fans out there. Where do you guys think JT's going to go? Is he actually going to leave Georgia? And if he does, where do you think he should go? Do you think he's going to do great? And overall with Stetson Bennett, if he's coming back next year, I mean, can you really bench the guy and throw under the bus the guy that won you a title game? Really don't think you can. Anyway, love you guys. Jesus loves you. Keep your head up again. Georgia fans and really anybody else out there that follows college football and all this, quarterback, and anybody out there with an actual good opinion, comment down below what you think about this with JT transferring out. Is Stetson the guy they need to just keep until he's gone from UGA? I think that's a given after this season. But, again, overall, JT's out of Georgia, in Athens. Stetson comes back, and not much has changed. I don't think there should be questions this offseason about who should be the quarterback for the Georgia Bulldogs. But again, I'll hear from you guys in the comments. Love you guys. Jesus loves you. Please like, comment, and subscribe right here to Ballard Sports Media for more sports content. And until next time, folks, Ballard Sports Media. Check it out. Love y'all. God bless. And as always, from an Alabama fan, roll Tide. Love y'all.